All right, internet world, this is going to be the second half of the carpet installation. Right now I'm in my showroom and I've gotten the front part of the carpet trimmed and cut evenly. I should have did a little bit of recording while I was doing that, but pretty much I just took my my straight edge here and just cut straight across the front of the carpet. Okay, it's gonna be the front of the carpet there, and I have some of the material here that I cut out a 2-inch strip, and what I'm doing now is gonna make me a little bit of a border here so that when I place it overlapping the rear part of the carpet, I'll have this piece here as a trim piece covering it. And just wanted to do something to kind of make it look a little bit more neater. So let me get you set up. And we'll get it going here. All right. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wanna keep, if you see here, I've already ran me attaching this piece to the carpet. Now what I'm doing is I flipped it over the back side of it, and I'm running another line down the middle of this piece here, and then that'll keep that piece attached and give me what you want to call maybe like a hidden seam. I'm not sure the technical term for it, but it's going to give me a nice finished edge on this piece that's going to go overlapping the back piece. Okay, and some people are able to sew, you know, very quickly. Me, I'm not I'm not some guru sew man, so I have to go kind of slow and kind of tedious to make sure I'm getting all of this thread to grab this piece of material. And you know, if you do it slow and just make sure you're paying attention to each stroke of that needle and making sure it's going where you want it to go, then it should turn out fine, and what you're working on should look pretty good. Okay. Alright, so just want to make sure that I am getting that material to catch on the back side. I cut those pieces 2 inches wide. I didn't want to have too much material, but looking at it now, I should have probably gone with maybe about a 3.5 inch piece so that I can make sure it's not too tight when I'm trying to make sure that I got material that's being grabbed on the bottom side. Okay, so as long as it's catching on the back side, then it should be fine. Move you back just a little bit here. The material is getting a little bit close. I don't want to knock the camera over so you can't see what's going on. Now, I've been told you have to be very careful because it's very easy to stick your finger up under what they call a walking foot, which is this, and that needle right there, they say if it goes through your finger, you'll definitely have a bad day. and I haven't had that happen and don't want to have it happen. So I like to just take my time with what I'm doing, because a lot of times when stuff like that ends up happening, it's because you're rushing through and you're trying to make things happen faster than what they need to. And just with anything, it's better to just, you know, take your time. And if you take your time, a lot of times things will turn out a lot better when you're just taking your time. I like to go back and forth a couple of times like that, just to ensure that that stitch is gonna hold. Trim this little stuff off here. Okay. And what we have there is gonna be the it's gonna be the edges that are going to sit under the seat, but close to the door you'll be able to see this part. Okay, you'll be able to see that stuff there, and it'll give a little bit more of a finished look. More of this is going to be under the seat, so I'm not going to really worry about too much of that. My line is nice and straight, like I like it, like I want it, so I'll leave that like that. And let me show you how I start this next side. Now I'm gonna have to, because this is a left-handed, or I don't know if a right-handed, whichever, but I can only sew to one side. If I try to take the material, I have to stuff a bunch of the material over here, and I get hit up under, let me see if you can see that. But yeah, I start hitting up under here if I try to stuff too much of this material. You know, if I start sewing from this direction, then I'll have to stuff a bunch of that material up under there, and then it can get into a nice little fight with the needle in the area right there where you have to sew. So what I'll do is I have to come with my material, and I'll have to lay most of my material over. Okay, most of my material is gonna have to lay over the table. So what I'll have to do is get most of the material to lay over the table like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna come on the back side. Too close, but I'm gonna come here on the back side, and I'm gonna start with my material on this end. So what I'll end up doing is put my material here. All right, starting here and sewing away from myself, so that I can meet the edge here. And if you can see here, see those two black lines? I measured those two black lines from where my needle is right here in the middle, so that I know that that's almost like 1/4 of an inch. From the middle right here, this little middle hole, to that first black line right there is probably about 1/4 of an inch. All right. So what I want to do is material over to where I'm right on top of that black line right there. If I can stay right there on top of that black line, I know that I'm sewing 1/4 of an inch. When I start off the material, I like to make a pass going backwards so that I know the material is holding. But what I'm going to want to do is just try to stay as close to that black line as possible. And you're not going to be able to stay on it with every stroke of the needle, but trying to stay as consistent and close to that black line as possible is going to make your line with your thread a lot more straight. Okay. What I like to do is just every so many strokes readjust my material so that I know I'm staying with that material overlapping. That way I know it's going to be straight. Once I get to the end, I like to reverse my needle, make sure I got my thread in there pretty good. Lift up the walking foot, get my needle out of there. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in my material. You can see that. I'm going to fold in my material under. And this time when I fold my material under, this time instead of going close to the black line right here, I want to make sure that this side of this walking foot sits right here on the edge of that so that it catches the material on the back side. Again, I just start off with a couple of strokes, then I reverse it, so I know it's gonna be holding pretty good. Now this part is a little bit tough. You want to make sure you keep this stuff tucked up under on the back side, so you know that it's catching. And I got a lot of material over here that's pulling a lot of the weight away from the needle, so I have to make sure that I'm taking that into consideration, to make sure I keep my material and the weight of the material up here to where I can still get the needle to perform. This stuff is tedious. I see why people who are in the upholstery business, why they charge so much, because this stuff is very time consuming. I wanted the experience of doing it myself, just because I like to learn how to do stuff. And I didn't go to any type of class or anything like that for this. I bought this sewing machine and kind of self-taught myself how to do what you see me doing now. Everything that you see me doing now is stuff that I learned to do as I was going. You know, this is not from some class that I took or something like that. It's just, you know, observing how, you know, how the material is put together from other pieces of article of material, and seeing how things are seamed together and threaded together and stuff like that, and just applying that to what I got, you know, what I got in mind for my idea. And again, I know it's taking me a long time to finish or get this done, but you know, this is not a race. You know, I want it to look a certain kind of way, and for it to look how I want it to look, I have to take my time and make sure that it's gonna look how I want it to look. And this thing is this sewing machine is kind of pressure activated, so if I wanted to, I can press it. You know, I can press it down pretty hard, and, you know, the harder you press it, the faster it'll go. But I'm not in a race. You know, I'm wanting to make sure that I'm able to control my results. You know. So that's why I take my time. When you can control your results, then you'll get the results that you're looking for. When you're not controlling your results, then you may not get the results that you're looking for. And that's with anything that you do. And I'll go back just to make sure that I got that sealed off. So as you can see here on the back side, you can see where it's ran through there, and see where I missed a little bit right here. See, I missed a little bit right there, but right here is really close. Okay, on the rest of it, it's really close, but I missed right there. So that's why I take my time doing it, to make sure that I get the look that I'm looking for on this side here. This side here, if you can see, I got a lot of spots that I missed. See how I missed right there? And see how I missed all right there? I don't necessarily want that. It's gonna be under the seat, but if it was somewhere else, then you know I wouldn't be able to accept that. I would have to redo that. You know. And just for the sake of me, you know, wanting it to be perfected, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my seam buster. Okay. This tool right here is gonna be my seam buster, because I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I missed in those areas. So that's got to come out. And what I'm gonna do is take this, I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna bust those seams out. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just gonna go up under there and bust those seams out. Okay. Once you bust those seams out, then you can pull that thread out. And you know, some people they may be okay with that, but I'm not. I don't, even though it's going to be under the seat and it's not going to be seen, you know, I'm not okay with it. And I can't go over top of that area with another seam, because then I'll have two thread lines instead of one, and I only want one thread line, so I have to take it out of there. You know, this is just all a part of doing things to make things look how you want them to look. And these are the things that if someone is paying you to make it look how it's, you know, how it's supposed to look customized, this would be something that, you know, you would have to take apart and redo if it was for a paying customer. Even though I'm not being paid to do this, I still treat myself like a paying customer, because I'm paying myself with my time. So I want to get it to look how I envision I want it to look. Because if I don't get it to look how I want it to look, then I feel like I'm cheating myself. You know, it's something that I want done a certain way, so if I don't do it, then I feel like I'm cheating myself because someone is not paying me to do it. And if someone was paying me to do it, then, you know, I would be obligated to fix it. So that's just all a part of, you know, treating yourself as if you're a customer. Even though you're doing it for yourself, you still have to treat yourself like a customer. And say to yourself, self, that don't look right, you gotta fix that. So I really didn't intend for this video to be that long, but in order for me to get it right, I just wanted to show you guys the process of doing this, so that, you know, when you're working on your project and you get to a point where, you know, you mess something up and you don't feel like fixing it, you know, this is just give you a little bit of encouragement to go ahead and fix it. Make it look like how you want it to look. Don't just be lazy and not put forth the effort to fix your project. All right, so that's all of the thread right there. Let me put my seam buster back up. All this is the old thread. We're gonna trash that. All right, so now we starting from scratch again. Now, one thing you have to understand is when you've punched a hole in that leather, you're gonna keep those holes. That's a good way for me to know where to ride the new holes at when I'm punching it through. But as you can see, I've unthreaded the material completely, and now we're gonna make another pass and make it look more uniform this time. I don't want it loose like I had it last time. Again, what I'll do is I'll start off with a couple of passes forward, and then I'll go in reverse. Make sure my material is grabbing at the bottom. All right. And as they say, easy like Sunday morning. And this is taking me an extra, what, 20 minutes to do, if that, 15 minutes to do. And I'd rather spend that little extra 15, 20 minutes, you know, making it right. You know, that's the most important thing. You want it to be right. A lot of times it's so easy to cut corners, but let's not cut the corner. Let's make it right. And I encourage you to make it right when you're working on your project. Don't cut the corner, make it right. You know, there's so many opportunities where you can cut the corner, and you know, sometimes it may go unnoticed, sometimes it may not. But if you get in the habit of not cutting the corner, then it's a very good habit to develop, because cutting the corner is not a good habit to develop. You know. I'm just making sure I'm keeping my material tucked up under there far enough to where it's gonna grab and I'm not missing. Like I said, next time when I get ready to do something like this, I'll make sure that I go with at least, because this is a 2-inch piece. Next time I'll make sure I'll go with at least a 3.5 to 4-inch piece. That way I can fold it up under and make it hold. The weight of my material is pulling it away, so you know, I gotta keep readjusting to make sure I'm not pulling my material and stressing my material. Alright, now let's look at that and see if we missed on this one. Alright, so we got a good clean pass that time. Got real close to the edge right there. And then we brought it back out a little bit. But we got a good pass where we didn't miss in any spots. Alright, so that's going to be how it's going to look. Now we're going to take it to the vehicle and install it.